Hey, so welcome back. So today I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight into how I structure my training for the Iditarod race that I've got coming up. So I'm trying to develop a training program that's going to allow me to cover 1,600 kilometres in around about 25 to 30 days in sort of a frozen wilderness in Alaska. So what I've got here is the next 5-week training program. So just bear in mind that the training program is based on a number of individual factors for me. That's kind of around about 20-year training history, some of the limitations I have, how I respond to certain types of training, and just some factors that I like to play around with as well. So this 5 weeks here is very similar to the previous 5 weeks I've done. So I'll just sort of talk you through it a little bit so you can understand how I'm going about my training for those that are interested. So what I've sort of done is, for the training focus for this block is going to be strength based. So my training focus for the last 5 weeks was aerobic based, but I'm going to continue doing a very same sort of approach to it. So you can see up on week 1 I've got interval, and then trail. And then I've got 1 interval session week 2, 3 interval sessions in week 3, and then back to 1 in week 4 and week 5. So the idea behind that is that there's some pretty good evidence that kind of shows that if you wave load or use a wave loading pattern for your aerobic stuff, it'll be a little bit more beneficial than if I just went 2 interval, 2 interval, 2 interval, 2 interval, and just use like a flat loading sort of schema. So it ends up being the same amount of intervals. The way I spread it out a little bit differently. So it'll be high loading or heavy weeks early, and then a drop off, and then a medium sort of, and then a drop off for recovery. So it seems to show pretty good results. So the intervals this time are going to be a little bit lower than what they were last time, because, as I said, this has got a strength focus to it. So I'm going to maintain aerobic capacity on my intervals, okay, and sort of slowly creep that or progress that slightly, but I'm going to focus more on the strength stuff. So even though the race itself is heavily aerobic, I want to maintain all my strength, because on the other side of this I want to make sure that I don't have to then try and get back the strength deficit that I've created through the training, because for my longevity, the strength's more important to me than aerobic capacity or aerobic development, because strength has a lot more associations to general health, well-being, joint stability, length of life, these sort of things. So it's still an important capacity, and I just like being strong, to be honest, as well. So what I'll do is I'll do interval sessions, 2 interval sessions, and I'll rest on a Wednesday, interval session, and then there'll be low-level trail run for that week. So the strength sessions during that week will be upper pull, lower push, lower pull. So they're shorter sessions than what I would normally do if I was just doing sort of 1 session in a day. So I spread them out, slightly shorter sessions, but I spread them out during the week so that it gives me better recovery time between the sessions. So the sessions themselves usually run about 30 to 45 minutes. Not overly long sessions, so even though it looks like a lot of work, the actual sessions themselves are reduced a little bit to reduce some of the work and the volume that I'm going to go through. The second week we'll run pretty much the same sort of pattern, however I'll do it so I've got upper pull, lower push, upper push, so that I'm not creating too much fatigue in my legs before I hit that interval session. Even though the interval session is not a priority, I don't want to have too much fatigue going in, because it just increases my chance of having an issue or overtraining. Rest, lower pull, and then trail. So the bulk of my work's done in the first half of the week, and then it's reduced in the second half of the week as I go into my recovery. So Sunday's always a rest day. Week 3 is very similar. The interval bike, interval, rest, interval, and then trail run. So the trail run there is going to be sort of moderate level trail run, okay, as opposed to this one, which is going to be my long trail run or a longer trail run. And I use the bike in here just for a little bit of off-feet options. If I'm really fatigued on these days, then I won't do the bike, I'll just cut it. So it's an optional training session that I'll do if I feel good, or I won't do if I don't. Sometimes I'll even ride to the gym so that I can bind that session. And it's an easy ride, so it doesn't deplete my strength session. Week 4 is easy run, bike, interval, rest, easy run, and then a trail run. So that trail run there will be fairly high, and these easy runs here aren't very long at all. They're sort of 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how I feel, how I recover. Okay, same with week 5, that'll be reduced across everything. The strength training sessions for these weeks replicate the strength training sessions here, and depending on how I feel as to how I load in those sessions. So it depends on the rep range and the percentages based on how I recover. So all of this is kind of a plan. If I can get 3/4 of that done, I'll be happy, okay, because life will get in the way and it will impede with all of this. So for this period, or this loading period, my priority is going to be the strength session. So if I have to cut 2 of these interval sessions and I can only do 1, so be it, I'll focus on the strength session. If I get 2 of those 3 done, that's awesome. If I only get 1 done, so what? Okay, if I get all 3 done, that's perfect. But my focus will be on how I recover, okay, how I feel, and what I think I can do that day around life and around me personally for recovery. So some of the factors that will be more important to this in the actual loading schema is My sleep, so I always try and get at least 7.5 hours to 8 hours if I can. Anything less than that, then I'm going to reduce the session. Nutrition, so my nutrition has to be adequate to support all this training and recovery. So I need to make sure that I'm getting in the right nutrition pre and post to make sure that during my warm-up and my preparation that everything's going as it should do. If I've got any indications that I can't do something, then I'll modify the session. And then post, make sure I'm getting the recovery I need, because from your morning session to the afternoon session, I need to make sure I recover, and then from day to day, week to week. Naps, I always try and get at least 4 naps of 20 minutes over the week. So ideally they'll be spread out in the double days. Okay, if I can't get them there, I'll get them when I can, but I always try and keep napping in my routine because it provides a lot of really benefits and it improves the quality of those second sessions. Okay, readiness over the morning, make sure that I'm ready. If I don't feel ready or I feel sore, then I'm not going to do it. And I've got a really long list of injuries that I've been carrying from my past life, so I need to make sure that they're all good. If I've got any indications there that I need to reduce the volume, then that's what I'm going to do, specifically around my interval sessions. If I've got a lot of lower leg issues or tightness, then I'm just going to reduce those sessions either in volume or intensity or both. And then aggravation, so if I wake up and I find that I've got a joint that's overly aggravated, okay, or my spine or anywhere where I've sort of got long-term chronic issues, then I'm just going to reduce that session. So if I wake up and my sort of arthritis in my spine's playing up or it's aggravated, then if I've got a lower push, I'm just going to make sure that I don't load my spine. So I'm just going to modify what I had on that day and change it up so that I'm not creating further aggravation, so that I'm not pushing through one session and then making the rest of my week crap. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the right recovery and I feel as good as I can. So as I go, I'll sort of try and update these sessions daily to give you the actual content of the sessions themselves, but that's kind of the overall plan for the next 5 weeks. So this is what it looks like, and we'll do a little bit of a review at the end and we'll see how much of this I actually got through.